Much for joining me today. Sorry for the delay. I was having some technical difficulties. Hi, Yisha. Thanks so much for joining us. Hi, Susan. So while we give people a few moments to join in, I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys today about what we're going to be discussing. So how many of you have spent all this freaking time creating the manicure of your dreams, the reverse stamping, the decals, you went all out, you used foils, you used polish, you just went the whole 9 yards. And then you apply top coat and this happens. Or maybe something like this happens, you applied your, beautiful nail powders and then they just kind of went a little different finish. You noticed it didn't look as vibrant. It maybe looked a little bit more speckled instead of a smooth shimmer. Or maybe something like this happened with your nail foils, where it just kind of lost its luster. You can see here it looks kind of cracked, doesn't really have that smooth mirror finish that we like. Hey Liz. Well, it looks like we have a few people who joined us. Thank you so much. I hope your day has been going phenomenally. But today's topic is how to get a gorgeous manicure with our smudge-free top coat. Hey, Joanna. Thanks for joining us. So, for those of you who don't know about the smudge-free top coat, this is a lifesaver. A lot of times when you're doing manicures and you invest all this time inside your manicure, it gets so frustrating when you finally top coat it and then you get something awful like this that happens. How many of you have had something like this happen? You apply your top coat after stamping and spending all this time, and then you get smudge. Yep, Charlotte knows exactly what I mean. I've had it happen to me too, and it is the absolute worst. Have any of you played with like powders or foils and then used a regular top coat and noticed that it looked different? Maybe you got something like this where it looks kind of crackled, or maybe your powder might have ended up looking like a sparkle or shimmer finish instead of having like a smooth, nice powder effect. Seems like we've had a lot of people run across these issues too. So in this live, we're going to be talking about fact or fiction. What is the best way to top coat your nail art that you spent so much time on? And as you can see in the caption, it's enough to make you want to swear. Like, I know we have all been there. So let's get started in today's live. So I swatched these little tips ahead of time so that way you guys didn't have to wait around for the polish to dry and the foils to be applied and all that other stuff. We just wanted to kind of focus it on the smudge-free effect. So this is just a white base with, I believe the color is Glacier, powder over it. And then I applied a white base, and then I used my sticky base coat for both of these. And for this nail, I applied a foil, and then again, like I said, for this nail, I just did the Glacier powder over it. And then for this, it's just a plain white base. So I will show you guys some tips and tricks that you can use with your smudge-free. So for this, I'm gonna start off with applying our smudge-free top on our foil. Some things that I want to note before we get started. If you're using smudge-free and you don't remember what the last manicure was that you did with it, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have some paper towels and wipe off your brush. So just wipe it clean. Now the reason why that's important is because sometimes when we stamp, there are leftover bits that are hanging off the sides of our nails. This could be, you know, like the leftover bits. For those of you who are used to stamping, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you'll just have like a little bit of the stamp or polish hanging off the sides of the nails. Now, this brush, when you are, and this is with any polish, just any polish in general, if you are applying your top coat, a lot of times, if you're not gentle about like glossing it over, you'll end up picking up those loose bits, and those loose bits get stuck in your bristles. And then later, when you try to top coat something else, you'll notice that there's these streaks, and you're like, wait a minute, why are there streaks in my smudge free? I thought it's supposed to be smudge free. That's the reason why. That's something that I've noticed that happens with myself as well. If I forget to wipe the brush, or if I didn't check to make sure that I didn't have like, you know, extra little polish bits that are like hanging off the side. It'll get trapped in my bristles, and the next thing I know, I have a white manicure, I'm top coating it with this, and then all of a sudden these little red specks come up, and I realize, oh my gosh, that was from my last manicure. So that is the very first thing that I want to recommend to all of you, especially if you're working with powders or black. Make sure you wipe your brush. So I am going to apply it all over the foil. And I'm starting off with these looks first because I want them to dry, and I want to show you something that happens. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is this gorgeous blue glacier powder. There you go. So while this dries, we're going to work on this last nail. I want you to see what's happening here. Do you see how there's like this white weird fog over the foil? Don't be alarmed if you see something like this happening. This is normal for the smudge free. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just taking time to dry. So you know that the nails are still wet if you see this white like haze or fog almost. I specifically noticed that this happens with like powders and foils. But again, don't panic, don't freak out, don't think it's ruined your manicure. It didn't. It's just drying. And I think part of the reason this might happen is because the base that we're using underneath, the powder and the foils, they're not polish. So polish adheres to polish well, but obviously since, you know, there's a layer in between of powder and foil, that isn't regular polish. So I think that has something to do with it. I'm not 100% certain, but it's something that I've noticed specifically happen when I'm doing foils and also powders. Again, don't be panicked by this. Don't be like freaked out. It's completely normal. Just let it go, let it be, and it'll dry on its own. Once it's dry, you'll notice that all that kind of like weird white haze looks sorry, I was reading Liz's comment. I was like, oh wait, what happened? Yeah, don't be panicked about the fog. It's normal. Just let it go. Work on your other nails while that happens. So in the meantime, I'm going to stamp. And I want to show you with black stamping polish so you guys can see. So we're going to pick this, maybe we'll do this design. I'll do this design for continuity. So I am going to put a little piece of my sticky stamper station that I no longer can use because I've kind of used up all the sticky bit parts. So I'm just gonna use this to scrape on. That way I don't have to wipe my mat again because nobody likes having to deal with that. Oh, but how's me? I forget to get my ready and my scraper ready. And then just go ahead and stamp on the design. Voila. So now we are going to take our smudge free and top coat this. And again, because I just coated the powders nail with the smudge free, I want to make sure that I wipe off the brush, because if I don't, there's a high chance that some loose pigments on this probably came off and was trapped in the bristles. It can't be helped since it's, you know, a fine pigment. And you're just going to go ahead and wipe off your bristles just to make sure that we don't mess up our smudge-free effect. Another thing that I want to note is, again, check on the sides, check to make sure you don't have any like little bits hanging off the nail, because you don't want that to go into your smudge-free top coat. Okay, as you can see, I am going over this multiple times. I'm not letting the bristles glide over. I was kind of firm and I kind of pressed the bristles in, and as you can see, not a single smudge. No problems whatsoever. I literally just applied it and I kind of went back and forth, no issues. Now let me show you what happens if I do the exact same thing with a regular, not smudge-free top coat. So we're going to be using the speed dry top coat. And let me clean off the plate so that way I can show you again with the same design. So I'm using straight up black for this, in case you guys are wondering what polish I'm using. And also this is, what's her name? Hanny's Manny's? Yeah, this is a Hanny Manny's plate. Okay, so I'm so happy that this happened on camera so that way I can show you guys. Okay, you see these tiny little bits here that are hanging off? Ignore the dog hair, sorry. Let me see if I can, you see this? These tiny little bits that are hanging off on the side are the things that get trapped in your bristles and cause smudging when you apply your top coat at a later time. So what happens is, yeah, you'll apply your top coat, they get trapped in your bristles, and then you put that back in your polish bottle, not realizing that it's trapped in your bristles. And then the next time you do a manicure, that is the thing that causes smudging. If you have had any issues with the smudge-free, 9 times out of 10, it's that. So you just want to make sure that you wipe those off, or, you know, clean it up with a cleanup brush. Do whatever you need to get rid of that. You can use tape, cuticle tape, regular Scotch tape. There's many ways. So make sure that that is removed, because that is going to be awful in the future to deal with. And then we're going to take our speed dry top coat, which is this one, and I'm going to show you what happens when I go over this multiple times. Oops. Do you see it already happening? And that is why we use a smudge-free top coat. Whoops. Take a look at those two designs side by side. So again, if you want to use your speed dry top coat, you're more than welcome to do so. However, you are going to have to be very, very cautious because it will cause smudging. So that requires a lot more like technique. So let me show you these designs now. So you can see the fog kind of dissipated and we have that beautiful foil and powder effect. And let me show you side by side. This is with speed dry, this is with smudge free. Can you see the difference? One thing that I notice instantly is that this color looks a lot lighter in person. I don't know why, but for some reason it's a lot lighter than the blue on the right hand side that I used to do my smudge free with. I wish you guys could see this in person because it's actually kind of crazy. Like, it literally looks kind of like a light metallic blue versus this, which looks exactly like the same color glacier powder that we were, the way it originally looked. So the difference, I think, one of the hugest differences that you're going to see with the smudge free and the speed dry is that the smudge free is a little bit slower to dry because it doesn't have that ingredient that the speed dry has to make it dry faster. And part of the reason that is because there are so many ingredients inside top coats, and what we've kind of seen and noticed is that speed dry top coats don't work for smudge free formula. I don't know what chemical or thing it is that causes the speed dry to, you know, dry quickly, but that chemical, I don't know if that causes smudging or what it is, but that chemical has never really been in any of the smudge-free formulas. And this isn't just for Maniology. This is for multiple like companies that offer these types of smudge-free polishes or top coats. So this is the first thing that we want to look at. Okay, the second one is this foil. So I know it's kind of hard to tell, but if you can see, maybe when I move it like this nail looks so much more textured than this. This nail, we've got like some smooth parts. Granted, my application was a little spotty, like you can see on the sides and here and there that it wasn't the best application, but I just wanted to be able to show you quickly how this one looks a lot smoother, where this one still kind of has a lot of that like cracked and crackled effect. So here, let me show you side by side here. I think it's kind of more apparent when it's a little bit further away because you can see like the reflection here just looks more mirror-like almost. And then let me show you these as well. And you can see over here too that this just looks more muted. With both of these that are using the speed dry formula, it looks a lot more muted than it does on the right side, where it looks so much more vibrant, so much more true to the color and the effect. And then here is what our top coat looks like when we apply, here, use this one, when we apply our speed dry versus our smudge free. So for all three of these, you can see there is quite a huge difference. And this is the reason why we encourage you to use the smudge free if you are new to stamping, or if you're just trying to like play with foils or powders. This is definitely the option that is better for you. Now, for those of you who've maybe noticed something like, hey, I still want to create a matte nail, or I still want to get that super glossy effect that comes from the speed dry, we have some tips and tricks for you that you can try. And let me move these away. So, for example, sorry everyone. trying to look for top coat. So if you wanted to, for example, get a matte finish and you're like, hey, I want to protect my stamp, I don't want to ruin it, but I also want to make sure that, you know, I get that really cool matte effect, then you can just go ahead and apply, hold on, give me 1 sec, I'm trying to hold the bottle and stay. So you can go ahead and apply a matte top coat. I did that off screen. You guys have to forgive me. So you can go ahead and apply a matte top coat once your smudge-free top coat has dried. You can apply a glossy top coat if you want. You can apply your speed dry top coat. You can apply a matte top coat. That's completely up to you. Just make sure that your smudge-free is completely dry before you go ahead and apply that second top coat. The other reason why I want to encourage you guys to wait is because obviously if you're applying, you know, several layers of polish, every single time you apply a new layer to dry layers underneath, it re-wets those layers underneath. So I highly, highly recommend you wait a bit before you apply your shiny, shimmery, matte top coats. And as you can see, it's already starting to turn, well, we smudged it with my nail, but as you can see, it's turning matte, and we didn't have any smudging because we applied our smudge-free top coat before we applied our matte top coat. The last thing that I wanted to say about this before we go, again, if you do this whole trick where you're going to apply 2 top coats, maybe to make your manicure last longer or to get a certain effect, and you just didn't want it to smudge, there may be a little fogging that happens that we saw with these 2 nails earlier. Don't be put off, don't be worried, like don't panic. That's completely fine. It's just drying and it's taking a while to dry. Once it dries, the fog just dissipates and it's completely okay. Again, I'm not sure if it has to do with like the fact that the polish layers below are still wet, or if it's, you know, happens specifically because maybe some of the bases underneath aren't polished, but I highly, highly recommend just kind of waiting before you apply, you know, your top coats. And for those of you who are asking whether you can speed up the dry time with a UV lamp, no, you cannot, because this is polish, not gel. So no lamp is needed. You can use a fan if you want, or stand in front of a breezy window, but that's pretty much it. Or I think you could even use like one of those speed finishing sprays. I think OPI has some. And those kinds of things will also work to help speed up the dry time. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's live. And let me just kind of scroll through the questions and make sure that I answered I answered all of you. Oh, Harmony, I'm so sorry that we didn't have this content available when you first started stamping. Well, you know, we're trying our best to make sure that we provide you guys with the content that you need so you can make all the beautiful manicures you want. I've never used a spray mess up for my final top coat, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. I know someone had mentioned also using the smudge free to like stamp it on for foils or powders, or even like just regular stamping. The reason I didn't show you that is because actually when I've tried it, because the smudge free isn't have the same formula as other top coats, it separates like water. It is not a water-based top coat, but it behaves like similar to water. So let me show you if I can show you on live. I wonder if it's not going to do it on camera because you guys are all watching. That's just how these things work. I don't know how to explain it any other way. It's just like when everyone's watching, things never work the way it's supposed to. Okay, maybe it is. So I don't know if you guys can see it here, but it's starting to like pool and create these like little gaps and things. So sometimes when you try to do that trick where you apply it and then you stamp it on, I've noticed that it'll be patchy or gappy. Yes, Liz also explained that it separates on the stamper for her too, and I think it's just because the way that the formula is, the viscosity is more like water, and you know, if you put like water on plastic, it just like drips right off. So I haven't had the best success with this. If you're going to do that method, I probably recommend using a speed dry top coat, but even then, when I've tried doing the speed dry top coat over foils, over powders, it still causes that effect that I'm talking about. It just takes a little bit longer for it to cause like these negative effects. So that's just a personal experience, but if you guys have had a different experience, please share with us. We'd love to know. Oh, Aisha said the trick is that she has to move very fast when she does this or it separates. Good to know. Let's see. I think I saw another really good question. So Maniology has several different top coats. Wait, does waiting longer... Oh, shoot. Someone also asked, does waiting longer between stamping and non-smudge-free top coat help at all with the smudging? I want to say that it doesn't really help that much. It does help a little bit better, but not too much, because the whole thing is that when you're applying polish on top of polish, even if the polish is dry, it re-wets the layers underneath. And like when you're stamping, the layer of polish that's being applied is so very thin and doesn't take much for that second layer or that stamping layer to get wet again. So usually it'll cause smudging. I think there was... How many top coats do we have? Let's see. We have our matte, our smudge-free, our shimmer smudge-free, our glitter smudge-free, our hollow top coat, our regular speed dry. I want to say we've got like at least 6. We've got at least 6 top coats that I can like count right now. I might have forgot something, but we've got a few, so definitely check that out. But that's pretty much it for today's live. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and I hope you guys have an amazing week. Make sure you @mention us, hashtag us if you try out something new, or if you just want to show us your nail mail, or you want to show us how these tips or tricks helped you. We love seeing your creations so much, and yeah, please @mention us, hashtag us. Again, we love to see it. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Have a great live. Have a great live. What am I saying? I don't know. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow because we're going to be doing the Mani by Me unboxing. So make sure you're tuned in to tomorrow's YouTube live, because I saw a lot of you talking about those polishes in the box, and let me just tell you, you might change your mind once you see this live. Talk to you later. Bye.